everybody. Alright, well, let's just cut to the chase here. I normally do top 10 lists, like you know me. I'm a top 10 list guy. Hey, top 10 list this, top 10 list that. But not only am I running short of ideas and I gotta process more and what I'm doing right now, kind of. But I also felt like there's something I want to bring up. A little something about me, you know? Don't like to focus on my life a lot. Not a lot of people care, but I want to just focus on it anyway. Old movies. I talk about old movies some recently. In fact, I'm an old movie person. You've seen the bedroom tour, have you? Did you watch that little short? If you know, I'm a fan of Star Wars and Marvel, but from what you look at, it was a lot of modern Star Wars and Marvel. I'm somewhat of a fan of older Star Wars and Marvel. Well, Star Wars was of course much older. Like they always got the old stuff. You got Empire Strikes Back. You got all the old lightsabers and whatnot from the 80s and 70s. That's the kind of old stuff I like. What about Marvel with their old comic books that inspired the newer stuff? Or maybe some of the older movies that no one focuses on much anymore. Regardless, that's not kind of what I'm trying to focus on here. Because there are a lot of old things I like. Even though I'm a 15-year-old who grew up in the 21st century, there's still a lot of stuff before my existence I'm able to look at as something I wish could be from my existence. Regardless, that's kind of the regard of what I'm doing here. What I'm talking about is older. And I don't mean like, say, from the 70s. I'm not saying Jaws. That's still not old enough. I'm talking about way older back. Like not even the 60s. No, I'm still back there. They got James Bond in that 60s. I'm talking about all the way back when, let's say, The Wizard of Oz was a smash hit. That's how old I'm going through. Yeah. I was talking about that kind of time and period. What do I gotta say about that? Well, here's the thing. If you know me, you know, of course, Star Wars, Marvel, a lot of fun stuff. However, back in the 30s or 50s or 40s or 20s, those are all a bunch of old fun movies I don't review. Watch? Sometimes. I sometimes like to watch them in a traditional way now. But I don't really like to bring them up in my reviews. I don't really review those kind of movies because, again, I'm a millennial. There's a lot I'm still looking for. We got a lot of new stuff coming out. Just all that old stuff is just way back from what I'm trying to get through already. So here's my thing. When I go all the way back, ever since the year 1960. I go from 1960 and go all the way up to now. The reason I don't like to review or have scores or talk about, discuss, have an opinion on any movie back before the 60s is because there's just so much to think about, okay? Like, again, I'm a millennial. If you were born in the 20th century, then you definitely have a good reason to look at all those older stuff from the 50s and 30s and all. But for someone like me, who exists in this world ever since the mid-2000s, if I'm going to look at a bunch of stuff from back then of the 20th century, do I have to go all the way back? I mean, I guess you could say, yeah, you do. You do, if not, you're a loser. Well, I guess I'm a loser because, no, the 50s and under, I can watch those movies. I can say they're good or bad. I can do that. But actually put real big opinions and scores on them and reviews like I do with all my other movies, I'm kind of for that. Because, again, you know how many movies I gotta look at right now? I'm only 15 years old and I have a bunch of films I'm missing out on. Okay? You may think, if your age, I've watched enough, but trust me, I have not. Okay? I am short on a lot of stuff, so just gotta let me continue on, okay? Got a lot of stuff I haven't seen yet, and I'm still looking ready to watch that. But if I'm gonna do that, gotta make my variety a little shorter. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not making it too short, because you should be lucky that I'm still looking at movies that came out in the 80s or 90s or 70s. There's a possibility, there could have been a chance I chose to ignore those as well. A pretty small chance, but I don't ignore them, so there you go. The thing I want to talk about, however, is just those older films before the 60s and up. I just seem to not have the chance to watch. I'll watch them in a traditional time, but just put them back into the little category of a little scaffolding of movies. I'll put all the movies that came out after 1960, not after, did I say after? God, where did my script go? Movies that came out before the 60s, I'll put all those movies that I do watch into a little box of storage. A little scattering storage box. And all the movies after the 50s in a box of movies I should have the chance to look at. A box of actual movie collection. That's just what I want to do. It's a dumb thing, but come on, I'm 15. Give me a break. I wasn't born in the 20th century. I have no choice. And I guess you could say I do have a choice, but no, I don't. Okay? Please. But here's the question. Why choose that specific time period? Let me tell you why. I say start from the 60s because that was the year my parents were born, my guardians. That's a weird choice, but they were born sometime in the 60s. And with that said, I think I'm going to address to that time period, not have to worry about anywhere farther back. I mean, I know I got my grandparents and all, but, I mean, come on, my grandparents. They've already been used to all that stuff. My grandma's going to be talking about World War II and all that. I think I've heard enough. I'm telling you, I don't need to hear all that no more. Sorry, but just didn't know what it was like. I just want to say, I choose to start from 60s, not just because that was when both my parents were born, but as I look for the catalog, I say the best time for actual motion cinema of box office hits that started was from the 20s. And I know most people say that's not when the actual film career started. Like the first movie ever filmed with a filming camera came all the way back into the late 1800s. But the first time we actually saw actual box office films that record actual record and become actual movies compared to now pretty much started with the 20s. So there's 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000. No, we're just going by from what was in the 20th century. There's 8 in total. Now let's just take out the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. That leaves us with 4. I took out 4. I'm not looking at those 4 decades, but I still have 4 other decades I can look at. It's a perfect match, right? It's nicely even, so no mix-ups. My teachers are saying, am I taking advice from my teachers? You should probably unsubscribe to me if I actually take advice from my teachers. Look, I do not take advice from my teachers. I would not take advice from somebody I'm just sitting next to like that in front of all of you. I'll take advice from them when I'm actually in the building. I'm not in the building right now. It's summer break. Come on. Why do I have to take advice from them right now? Anyway, yeah. So I'm starting from the 60s. And as I start from the 60s, I'll look and discuss an opinion and review all movies that came out afterwards. All the way up to now. And as now, we got more movies to come out. I mean, it doesn't matter what will happen. We'll have a movie to come out. Oh, look, an apocalypse is happening. Let's release a drama. Oh no, there's a huge listing of deaths occurring all over the world. Death rates are increasing big. Let's release a comedy. That's just how it has always been. Like, you remember all the fun, joyful movies released during World War II times? Yeah, could you imagine back then you were having this be set in the middle of a huge war, causing the death of thousands to millions of people, but you got a movie like Dumbo or Pinocchio to pass the time. So that's the point. There's the go. That is what I'm trying to talk about here. I'm only looking at movies that were released ever since the year 1960, and all movies before that will just be watched for a traditional time and just be put in a little storage box of movies I can have one opinion on and just let them fly. That's just how it's going to be for a 15-year-old millennial. That's just how it works here in my world. You may think differently, but that's your world. Welcome to Jack's world. If you don't like it, again, unsubscribe. That's just what everyone's doing now. See you later. Going back to Jack's world. Jack has a world to experience. A very crappy, unnecessary world that I'm not ready to experience yet.